Here we go. Just recorded it. So let me bring this back up. See, so I told you I'm a newbie on all of this stuff. So hold on a second. Now, once I do that, I have to bring all the rest of my screens back up so we can see what's going on here. Okay, so now we're recording. We were recording all along on the Hangout. So anyway, you can record, or you can choose to pause the recording if you want to go off the record, or you can just not record, which the first part of this program is not recorded now. Sorry about that, everybody. As you see, I'm multitasking up the wazoo here. Okay, so now I found out that the limit for a blab is 6 hours. So, you know, you can blab a lot. I think I'd get hoarse after 6 hours, but you can blab for up to 6 hours. The recorded replays are available indefinitely, as far as I know. I don't know that they ever go off. And then immediately Blab will email you the audio. So they break the audio out, which is great for podcasts, and the video. It's emailed to you. So it's right there for you to repurpose, which I love. Now, your maximum on screen, as you can see if you're on Blab, and if you know, is up to 4 people at once, which I love. That's an advantage of Blab over Hangouts on Air. Now on Hangouts on Air, we can have the film strip with up to 10 people in it, but they're not all. We're just one at a time on the Hangout window. And by the way, also Blab is public only. So with public only Blabs, that means, you know, you cannot discriminate. You're all here having a good time, I hope, and enjoying the broadcast, but I can't make this private. So thank you, everyone from Blab who's coming. I love that you're here, and I hope that you're enjoying what we're doing here today. Okay, so public only, but here's what I want to point out to you. These are my strategies at this point. And as we get through the show, I hope that we bring in dozens and dozens of strategies for Blab, especially for you, your Blab, you know, veterans, so to speak. So for me, initially, I was going to do the Hangout on Air after show, which is taking my Inspirational Businesswoman show that I'm broadcasting now and bringing everyone over to Blab for the after show, where we get to talk to the guest experts. We get to share ideas, ask questions, and all that. But as I found out that I could simulcast Blab, I said, well, I guess we'll do the whole show on both Blab and Hangouts. Now, simulcasting is where it's at right now. And isn't this fun? I hope that you are all enjoying this as much as I am. Some of you may be on both the Hangout and on Blab. That's going to be interesting, I know. Okay, so how about using it for training and tips? I know that there's some people out there that are doing great trainings on Blab, and just coming in again and giving some quick tips. I think that's always valuable to me. No matter what you're broadcasting on, I think the content should be valuable to people. Even though it's fun to just blab now and then and just get a discussion going, which is the next idea I have, is it's a great way to have a discussion and air ideas. And how from there, how about masterminds? Great idea for masterminds. And another place where you can do Q&As, right? All right, so Google Hangouts, for those of you on Blab who say, you know, I'm not interested in Hangouts, they're too difficult for me. I say there's real value to using Hangouts that will never go away. I love the SEO value of Hangouts. I love the sophistication of Hangouts. I love the interaction that we have on Hangouts. So I'm not throwing this baby out. It's around and will continue to be around for a long, long time, and will only get better, in my opinion. The difference is that it's for computer only, right? So I'm doing this on my desktop. You can do it on a desktop or a laptop, but to start it in an app, that doesn't exist. The only thing that you can start a Hangout with an app in is for a Hangout, but not a Hangout on Air. There's a big difference. Hangouts on Air are what you broadcast, and you get the recording automatically going into YouTube, your YouTube channel. So you can record a Hangout, or you can get into the green room and do a Blab and never record it. And sometimes that's a great way to go as well. The limit on Hangouts is 8 hours for broadcasting, for the live broadcasting. You have the recorded replays available immediately and indefinitely on YouTube. And of course, it syncs with the YouTube channel. And the maximum on-screen participants in the film strip is up to 10. Here's what I love about it, and I use it this way in multiple ways, is public, private, and unlisted. So you can totally control who's able to view the Hangout. And since I use it for so many different reasons, which I'll talk to you about quickly, my strategies are the web TV show, so my weekly Inspirational Businesswoman show. I use it for quick tips and podcasts. Actually, all of the broadcasts that I do and Inspirational Businesswoman show do get uploaded into iTunes as a podcast as well. So keep that in mind if you're doing Hangouts. Coaching and mentoring, that's why I love the private aspect of it, because I can do a one-to-one or a small group coaching, and only those people who I've provided the links to will be able to participate in and watch it. And then one of the biggies for me is courses and trainings. I do and create all my courses using Hangouts in there. I even created my most popular training, which is Hangout Course Creation Made Easy, all created with Hangouts. I put together checklists out of it. And that way I'm using this platform in multiple ways, which I think some people don't realize. All these platforms have multiple purposes and uses. And how about using it for a summit? Hangouts are used all the time for broadcasting summits and boot camps and intensives. These are just a few of my strategies with Hangouts. So Elaine, I'm going to bring you onto the Hangout and onto the Blab at the same time. Let's hope we don't get too much of an echoing. And just come in and let me know if you've got some comments and questions you want to share on the Hangout and discuss on Blab.
So I do want to acknowledge some of the folks that, first of all, are over here on Hangouts on Air on the G Plus platform. V-Lynn Hawkins jumped on in. Hey, V-Lynn, we're so pleased to see you on another summit. Yes, indeed, you can do summits very well over here on Hangouts on Air. We have Melissa Kaiserman, and she has been prompting us over on the G Plus side. Virginia, open on up the seat over on Blab so Bonnie Frank can come back on in. So thank you. We're communicating in all directions. We have Donald Kutchenmeister here. He's saying, is it live? Yes, Donald, it is live. We have Kara Wood here. We have Terry Schreier here. So great to see all those other friends. Plus, you know, all the people who registered, and tons registered to watch the show over on Google Plus. They'll get to watch it on replay, because that's the wonderful thing about Hangouts on Air. They are automatically uploaded to YouTube. So Virginia's got all her great shows on over there. Now, over here on Blab, we have currently, hold on.
I've already welcomed everybody who's in the room.
I've
welcomed all 57 people who've been through the room, actually.
Yeah, and so we have 16 here right now. And some of the same folks are jumping back and forth to both platforms. That's kind of fun. And Bonnie, I salute you, oh Periscope woman, for being here and for providing this great teaching and inspiration to all of us. I haven't done anything on Periscope yet, but, thinking about it.
I use Periscope every day and Blab every day, both. So, yeah.
So we have lots of friends that we have gotten to know over in the G Plus arena, learning Hangouts on Air, like Cynthia Harley. Hi, Cynthia. And V-Lynn Hawkins, of course. But I want to say hello to some of the other folks who are here. Clarissa Silva, Hatron, Pamela Gomez, Kay Elizabeth Green, and Terry. I can't read what I wrote. Anyway, we have a good crowd here. It's great.
Thank you, Elaine, and thank you, Bonnie. And one of the things that Bonnie, is because I have so many things open on my screen, I didn't notice that you had bopped out on us. So glad to have you back in here. Thank you for greeting everybody. I really appreciate it. Okay.
I did come across one question, and you might find the right time to answer this, Virginia, but Social Biz Ledger was asking about using Manicam or Xsplit. She's been trying to use both of them over here on Blab, and they're all reversed. She can't get them to reverse. So if you have any tips about that as you approach talking about XSplit, we might be curious to know. Thank you.
Okay, and I will do my best. And all I can do is share my own experiences with you on XSplit and ManyCam. I'm aware of, but it does not have the power of XSplit, so that's why I'm an XSplit girl. But we will talk about that. As a matter of fact, as I go forward now in giving you a little more information, guess what comes up? It's XSplit Studio Techniques. Why I love XSplit. It is a way to manage all this. I could not be doing what I'm doing today without XSplit. I really couldn't. I love Hangouts on Air, and the screen share options that they have work great, but they're not as efficient as what I can do with XSplit, and you can see a lot of what I'm doing right now. So my first point, and this is just, again, sort of an overview, because I'm going to be starting a whole brand new course on XSplit, using it in all the different live streaming, broadcasting, and teaching about simulcasting. And that's going to be starting October 13th. So if you want to get on the list to get notification on that, make sure that you text, or I'll give you another link for a free ebook that I'm also offering you today. So the fun thing about XSplit is you can use a green screen with various backgrounds. So I'm just going to switch you around here and show you. You've already seen me in this background here. All right, now here's another background that you've already seen me in. So you can see how I switch around. Here's another one, because one of my favorite places is Lake Tahoe. So, you know, the green screen is great. That's what I have behind me, is a green screen. And with the proper lighting, it really works wonderfully well. So we'll think about green screen as one of the advantages. Now, you don't need all this stuff, but it's fun. And it does help you, you know, sort of step out of your shadow, as I call it, and shine as an expert in your field, just because you're working in a little more sophisticated way. So I love the green screen aspect. Now let's talk about the next point, and that is you can change up to 12 scenes quickly. What you've seen me doing so far today, I've used 8 screens so far. I'm going to be using a 9th screen on this broadcast, flipping back and forth. So you saw me go into the thumbnail, which was announcing the show, and this is, you know, basically the title of the show. Then you saw me go into my inspirational logo spin, and then I clicked on the video with the trailer, which I will not be leaving up there long, but just so you can see how quickly I can spin from one to the next using the scenes. Now back into the main broadcast screen, and now I'm going to take it back to the PowerPoint screen. So you can see how quickly that can happen. So XSplit is really an advantage for that. And I use the professional version, which is not inexpensive. I mean, it is not expensive, I should say. But you can get the free version, and it is up to 4 scenes. Now, here's a caveat, and that is you got to be a PC gal or guy. Because if you're working in Apple, unfortunately, right now, XSplit is just not available. And since I'm a PC gal, I don't know if there is really a good option to do the same thing with that that I can do with XSplit on my PC. But if anyone out there knows of it, that's what I love about this show. It's a collaboration. I want to hear from you. If you know of a great studio production tool that you can use in Apple that works the same way as XSplit, I want to know about it. So please either let us know during the blab or type it into the comments section. We'd appreciate that. Now, another thing that works really well is, as you can see here, what I'm doing, and that is the split screen and multiple layer aspect that you can use. So I have all these layers here. I have the layer for my lower third. I have the layer that is my my video camera. And by the way, for those of you wondering, I use a Logitech C920 high definition camera. And that seems to work really well. I've had it a couple of years now, and it is handling all of this. It's handling the 2 live broadcasts as well. So, you know, be aware that that's one of the things. And here's what I love. Instead of webinars, this is a great way to do a webinar and still stay on the screen, still make connections with your audience. I think that's just really important. So the split screen options are, they're multiple. There's many different ways you can split your screen up and put layers on top of it. So I love that. And then finally, let's talk about the different ways that you can show up on the broadcast. One is using the HOA, using it on the Hangouts on Air, which you've already seen here. And then on Blab, the thing about Blab is right now, I'm not saying in the future they won't offer it, but right now there's no way to really put a lower third on and brand yourself effectively. So the only way you can see who is on the Blab is in the screen up in the left-hand corner, right? And the problem with that is, at least right now, once you watch the Blab and replay, that identity is gone. It's no longer showing up. So if you're using Xsplit on a Blab, you can keep your identity and your branding there for people. Same thing on Periscope. When I pick up the Periscope, I've got my Xsplit screen up, and I've actually opened up either my Xsplit or that and my Hangout, and I'm going to scope, and I can at least get the branding done that way. It's also good for doing your thumbnails. So if I want a thumbnail, which is what I call this particular screen here is the thumbnail, then they can see that in the very beginning, and it shows up in Periscope as your title. So it gives a little bit more pizzazz to that as well. So let me get back here. Remember, I'm working lots of screens at once. Appreciate your patience with all this. I hope you're enjoying and learning something from this. But the point is that there's a lot of tools and strategies that you can use to stand out and get noticed. Using Google, using Blab, using YouTube, Periscope, and of course, one of my favorites is Xsplit. So let's talk about the third hot topic, and that is what we're doing right now is simulcasting. The thing I love about the simulcasting is the ability to connect with people, from really literally all over the world across multiple platforms. Now, let's talk about some of the cons. You need a lot of bandwidth. It works well for me because I'm operating at 70 to 80 Mbps, which is megabytes per second. So I've got the power to do this. You don't need as much power as I have. I just happen to be fortunate to have it. But Google Hangouts by themselves do take a lot of bandwidth. So if you want to add on the Blab, you just need more bandwidth to do that. You also really need to get hardwired because that will keep your bandwidth more consistent. You won't have the dropping off. Headsets, okay, I haven't put one on today. I'm going to go back and review this whole broadcast in both places to see if we've got any problems with the echoing. We've noticed that can be a factor with echoing, but if people properly, mute the mics and come back and forth, I think it's not to the degree that we had thought at first. So it's a matter of managing how you mute yourself and then unmute yourself. But I do think that in general, headsets are a good idea. And then multitasking up the wazoo is what I would say. So I appreciate that Bonnie is here. I appreciate that Elaine is here. And I want to give some kudos to V-Lynn Hawkins out there, good friend and colleague of mine. She and I are the ones that got on here last week and said, can we even do this? Well, we just tried and found out we could do it. So I hope all of you now get out there and try it as well. And, if you're not used to doing Hangouts, they're not as hard as you might think they are. But if you need help, I'm available to help you with that. But, the multitasking is an issue. So that's when you bring in your friends and help you out a little bit. Because otherwise, normally, when I am interviewing someone, I can multitask a little better because while they are talking and answering my questions, I can also check the comment tracker in the comments and do some responding that way. But I do think the best way to do something like this, as complicated as it is that you do it with a buddy, someone who can help you out. So let's talk finally before we open it up to everyone else in the discussion, which I'm so appreciative you hear. How do we go about doing the simulcasting? Because I think people are not yet taking full advantage of the potential of these broadcast networks. So I'm going to always be starting with a Hangout on Air, even though Blab started first today. And then I was in the green room of the Hangout on Air, and then I started the broadcast there. So Blab is something we found out you can now simultaneously do and use it in an XSplit manner so that you get the branding done, which I think is great. Now, if I'm here, again, I talked about using the Periscope as a pre-show, but there's no reason you couldn't simulcast Periscope too. And we just all about, since that's going to be on a different medium, it's about your bandwidth, but it's not about the RAM that you would need for your computer. So you don't have that challenge. But let's think about all the other channels that you could be simulcasting on. And here's an example of what I'm doing today. I am currently simulcasting on my Hangout Mentor app. So if you don't have the app, it's totally free. Just search for Hangout Mentor in either the iTunes Store or the Google Play Store and download the app, and then you won't miss any of my shows. So that's a great place to go. I also am simulcasting on LinkedIn because I've taken the embed code, in this case from the Hangout. It's over on LinkedIn in a post, and it is now broadcasting there. It's broadcasting on Facebook, on my Hangout Mentor page on Facebook. Plus, I posted it onto a lot of groups, so it's simulcasting there. I use an app called 22 Social to do that. Of course, put it on your website, put it on your blog, and let it simulcast there through Twitter.
Virginia?
Of course. Yes.
Virginia, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes,
so
Bonnie.
Go up to the profile right now. There's a little picture of alfalfa.
Go up to which profile?
See the circles of all the people up there at the top?
Yes.
Click on the alfalfa. You'll see a triangle with an exclamation point in it.
I'll see a triangle with an exclamation point in it.
Click it.
I'm still looking for the triangle with the exclamation point in it. Where is it again? I see all our viewers.
Okay, if you go in the chat, Virginia, look in the chat now.
Chat.
All right, look in the chat.
Okay.
See where it says, Sir Charlie Baby?
Is it one of the viewers?
Yes. Would you please find, it's a little picture of alfalfa. He has left the room. Find where it says, Sir Charlie Baby. Hover over it. There will be a triangle with an exclamation point that only you will be able to see.
I see. You want me to do
Click
a boot?
it right now.
Okay.
So, and I apologize for interrupting, but Virginia,
That's
one
okay.
of the things about Blab is a conversation platform. It is not set up to be a webinar.
Got it.
And part of what's going on is the information that you're sharing is hugely important. It's really helpful and it's very interesting. But at the same time that you're doing that, you're not able to see, I guess, the people in the chat.
Right. Well, I can't pay attention to that. So
right. So
that.
if there's a troll in there, then you're the only one, since you're the host, you're the only one who can deal with the trolls.
Okay.
So I apologize, but that blocked him, not just from this, because he got out once I had announced him, but so it didn't just block him from this particular blab, it blocked him from all of your future blabs.
Okay.
So he won't be in any of your future ones.
Well,
so I
I'm still
apologize
looking
for interrupting.
him, and at this point, since I can't find him, I'm scrolling through a whole lot of stuff here. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. And this is why this is a learning experience, and Bonnie is giving us some valuable information. So I'm just going to finish because I'm almost done with that part of the PowerPoint. So I'm going to bring it back up, finish it, and then we'll get to the after show and get everyone else in here. So thank you for that, Bonnie. I appreciate it. Okay, so the last point that I was making on this is just that there's so many other places that you can simulcast. So think about all the different options that you have for simulcasting. And one of the last ones I just want to throw up there was your friends and your joint venture colleagues can certainly simulcast for you as well. So that's the whole point of that part, is to just think about what's the potential of what you can do with a live broadcast that you're doing. So from there, Bonnie, thank you so much. I am going to just give you the last idea, and that is if you would like to go and pick up me see if this comes up. Yeah. If you would like to go and pick up the ebook that I have about this, it's available for you on hmtips.com/ebook. hmtips.com/ebook. Okay, one more thing here. There we go. Okay, so the point being is that I've created this quite a while ago on all the different things that you could do to monetize Hangouts, and now it's totally relevant as well to any of the other live stream broadcasting mediums. So pick that up, and that'll give you some more ideas on how you can use it. And I'm just going to repurpose and add to it all the different ways you can use it for the other live stream broadcast. So with that, that was the last slide I did want to share. So I'm going to bring this back up now to the main area here, close this out so I can see more of the blab. Now, Elaine, once again, if you have some comments of what people might want to, ask, or questions that they have or comments they have, I'd love it if you would bring that in to the stream now on. You can do it on both, of course, Blab and on the Hangout.
Okay, so new activity, jumping back and forth between each one.
I can't.
What I was doing just a minute ago was adding the link for the ebook that you just mentioned onto the comment stream in Google+. So that is now on up there. We have had more activity going on in Blab than we have on Hangouts on Air. And for those who have been watching Virginia's show on Hangouts on Air, it's no surprise that we might be seeing more activity over on Blab because, like, that's a new arena. Like, what's it like? And most folks do have many folks do also have a Twitter account, so it's an easy way to go in. Let's see. We had Lowell Ang Sang say to us over here, though, she could not hear the guest speaker, Bonnie. So if Bonnie was only coming through via Blab and wasn't like me, also on the Hangout, then we're getting feedback and showing have to make an accommodation there. Velyn Hawkins was really happy to hear that, if you're on Blab, there is a way to get rid of a troll. And once again, if you are the host, and if you're the only one that has the ability to go down to where that person is in the comment stream, and next to the star or little curving arrow, you will see another icon. I guess it's like an exclamation point that you can hit, and that will remove the person who's trolling. That will block them. And as Bonnie was saying, apparently it will block them from all successive blabs of yours. So
yeah, so let me explain that a little further. So the way Blab is set up, there's a host for every Blab, and whoever's the host is going to be sitting where Virginia is in the upper left corner, and their name will be in blue. So you see our names are all different colors. The blue is always the host. And the host is the only person right now on Blab who can accept people and also eject people. So any of the four of us could X anyone out from the four squares, except that wouldn't be permanently keeping them out, right? So Virginia's the only one, whoever's the host is the only one who's able to do that, and they can do that two ways. So they can look up above when you see all the circles above and you see the small profile picture. If you click on any of those profile pictures, a profile will pop up. And when the profile pops up, not only can you follow someone on Blab while you're watching the Blab, you can also click on the little Twitter bird, which means it'll take you to a separate window and you can follow them on Twitter and still keep your place on Blab. And at the same time, you'll also see a little triangle with an exclamation point on it. So cats in the bag purr, it's a little triangle with an exclamation, like a hazard or a warning sign. And so Virginia could click that, through the profile photos above or in the chat. If anyone, if a troll makes a comment, you simply hover over that comment, and then the little triangle will appear, and then you click on that. And actually, when Blab first started, there was no reason for that. And 55 days ago, when lots of us from Periscope came over to Blab, there was also no reason for that, right? But slowly, as Blab is gaining in notoriety across the globe, there are people coming in who need to leave. And that's why it's super important. That's why Blab is set up. It's not set up for a webinar. It is set up for a conversation. That's how it's different from Meerkat or Periscope. Blab is set up for a conversation platform, and Meerkat and Periscope and some others are more like, I sort of liken it to an informal webinar, where it's just the one person and the guests, right? And there's nobody else who can converse at the same time. So that's why it's hugely important to have somebody who's kind of, in charge of working the crowd, right? Like working the comments or whatever. So Elaine's been working the comments on Hangouts. I've been doing it here. I always do it in people's blabs. I do it in my own blab. When I go on someone else's blab, I just automatically do it. It's kind of live streaming etiquette when somebody comes into the room to greet them, just like you would at a dinner party. And it's also live streaming etiquette when you walk into a room to just say hello. So like, for example, and I do scopes and blabs all the time on live streaming etiquette because nobody else does, basically. And it's just unwritten rules. So it's just when you go into a blab or you go into a scope, just say hello or welcome. Or like if it's a bunch of women, then I always say hi, ladies. Or if it's not, I'll say hi, all. And it's okay if the other people don't, say hello back. That's fine. Just make sure you do the right thing and you greet everybody when you come in. And kind of the more we get used to this, the more we'll start acting like human beings on social media and not like, I don't even know what. People forget they're human on social media sometimes. So that's why I think live streaming is so crucial. Because it really gets at the human aspect of all of us and gets at the know, like, and trust factor much faster than any social media platform. So that's a long-winded answer. Sorry. Oh, we can't hear you. Mm-mm.
I'm muted in one place and not in another place. I'm screen sharing right now, which you're not aware of, so that the people in the Hangout are actually watching you on Blab. I had to turn my speakers up, so there might be a little reverberation going on right now. Not sure about that.
It's good. It's good.
Anyway, you are right. And normally, because, as I say, we ended up with a cancellation, I thought, well, I'm just going to share what I know and do it in a semi-presentation method. But I agree with you. The conversation is really what's important. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take now the Hangout and stop this broadcast, but I have posted in the comments section so that you all can come on over to Blab and jump in, ask some questions, and share in the conversation. I want to thank Elaine formally for being here with me, Bonnie for being here on Blab as well. This has been a fun experiment, and guess what? We didn't crash.
Yay!
I think that's to be celebrated. And if I could multitask even more, I'd bring up the what is it called that we use the applause for, Elaine? That's even left my mind. Anyway, thank you, everyone, for being here. Come on over to Blab. I posted the link. Come on in. Be part of the after party. We'll be here for a few more minutes just to have a discussion. And when people need to leave, they need to leave. But I do hope that you have found this valuable. I appreciate your being here. This has been a lot of fun for me as well. I've learned a lot, and I hope that you have too. So until next week, when we go back to our standard format of inspirational businesswomen interviews, thank you so much for being here with me on Hangouts on Air, and we'll continue the party over on Blab. Thanks so much. There you go, Elaine. Bye-bye now. All right, so now here we are on Blab. Okay, so Bonnie, these are really important points that you're making, and I really appreciate your, as I say, being here for us. to share. I'd really like to know some more about your strategies on Blab. What is it that you find the most, intriguing about how to use this platform, how to provide good content, and how to get it out to the world in multiple ways? So go ahead, you've got the floor.
Sure. So people have. Oh wait, I'm going to turn down my volume because I was echoing. Okay, so and just so you know, Virginia, I was on one Blab where we had it was simulcast on 5 separate platforms. We had Periscope, Meerkat, Blab, and I'm missing the other 2. I can't remember, but it was 5. And he thought that was the Guinness Book of World Records type of thing. But then somebody had commented in. They said, nope, someone's already done 8. So I think at that time, now I think there's actually more live streaming platforms, but at that time there were only 8. So I know there's one in Israel that is very popular there that hasn't exactly gained as much traction here. There's a peer in, there's loads of them. So how and welcome to Spandit and Melody, Cancer Coach, and T.S. Shear, I think it is. So welcome. Thanks for coming in. So how I use Blab is for conversations. So for example, on my Blab with Bonnie show, I have a show every Wednesday, and I have a different guest who acts like a co-host. So I interview that guest, and we discuss whatever topic is most relevant to that guest. For example, I had Denise Wakeman, and she's a visibility expert. So we talked about effective visibility, right? And so whoever is the co-host, as it were, because there's no technical co-host yet. That's something that Blab has on their list of things to do. It is definitely more towards the top of the list than the bottom. And the co-host, Virginia, the co-host would be sitting like where I am. And the co-host will also be able to get rid of people and to accept people into the Blab, which is hugely important because when Virginia leaves, we can still Blab, we can still keep blabbing, but nobody else can come in because Virginia is the only one who has that ability. And is the only one who can deal with the trolls. So a co-host will be able to have both of those responsibilities, which is awesome. So we all want that. So that's something they're going to be working on. So on the show, this is the way I do it. People do it all different ways. Some people will interview somebody and block those other 2 seats, and they'll only have the interview going on, and they won't allow anyone in. Or they'll have the interview going on and then allow 1 seat to be open and then kind of rotate 1 person in and out to be able to ask that expert some questions. So, for example, they did that with Ted Rubin a while ago. Brian Fanzo did that. And that worked very nicely. And they do a similar thing Blab does for the town hall. So if you're not following the Blab town hall, you need to follow @Blab team. And I'm not going to type it in right now because that's going to alert for Kwan, which I don't want to do. It's like a bat phone when you do that. So, so follow @Blab team on Twitter and on Blab, and then you'll get the alerts for their town halls. And they hold the town halls maybe every 2 weeks or so. So that's how you can keep up with the latest information. You can also go back and watch those replays because those are up forever. So on my show, the co-host and I talk for about a half an hour. Then we open up the other 2 seats and people come in and they're able to ask questions and converse. And sometimes, Blab is the best name for this platform because my 1-hour show has gone up to 3 hours before because it's good content. And if I have the time, if I don't have a coaching client, I'm going to keep going. If, there's like 23 people in the room, that's a nice amount, Virginia. That's a great amount for a Blab. And 85 people through the room, you should feel really good about that. That's a nice amount too. So, if there's 23 people in the room and people have been in and out and asking questions and engaging in the chat and engaging in the room, I have the time, if it fits into my life, I ask them, I'm like, is it okay? Do you want to keep going for a little bit more time? Or I'll ask my co-host, do you have some, some more time? And if they say, okay, then we keep going. Otherwise we shut it down. So that's how I use Blab. And also, just so that everyone knows, if you type something into the chat, if you type a link into the chat, it's a live link. And so you can click on that and it will open up another window and take you to wherever, Virginia's website, my website, Elaine's website, whatever. And you can go there and do whatever you want there and still not lose your place on Blab. So that is really helpful. And then, Virginia, you were talking about the lower third. So there's tons of people on Blab who utilize Cam Twist and ManyCam to do that lower third that you've done. So they do that all the time. And there's people who utilize those constantly. Rob Rudy was in here. I had kind of done the bat phone. I did at Rob Rudy, and then he came right in. I knew he would. He came right in, and I asked him about it, and he said you can also do picture within a picture that allows some of the XSplit things that you were referring to.
Great.
So, but clearly, it sounds like I don't know, maybe ManyCam or Cam Twist can't do all those things that XSplit can. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was when I looked on ManyCam, I knew I didn't have the flexibility I have with XSplit and the ease of use, but it does do quite a few things. So it's a good start for a lot of people.
Hey, Virginia, a quick mention. This is a shout out to Dave Williams, who was watching over on Google Plus, and he said Wirecast actually will have the same capabilities on Mac or PC as XSplit over here on Blab.
Great. So did you all hear that? Wirecast is another great
tool. Is it
tool.
wirecast.com?
And Bonnie was mentioning that, you can add the live links into the comment stream here on Blab. You can also put in the URL for a graphic. If you have a photo and it has a URL attached to it, you could even, if you didn't have fancy ManyCam or something, you actually could create a graphic picture or a slide and put it on up into the comment stream as a teaching tool. That's just another way of doing it. I can't say I've really seen people doing that, using a graphic as a teaching tool on the comment stream. I've seen mostly, funny pictures or relevant pictures or animated GIFs.
We can't hear you.
I keep forgetting. I'm.
Yeah, now we can.
Okay, so we've got a question here from, I think it's Sunita S. Bandit. I think that looks like Sunita's picture to me, a gal that I know. Welcome, Sunita. She wants to know how that she can connect with both Bonnie and Elaine. So if you gals would like to type in, I think Bonnie, you already did, type in your website and contact information. That would be terrific. Hey, welcome, Kristen Drysdale. Love seeing you here. How you doing, gal? And Zara Altera, thank you guys all for coming by. This has been a fun experiment, and I hope that it's provide some value for you. I'm going to open up our spot for someone to come in and ask questions live, and we'll take a look at the questions on the question link as well. And here we go. So we've got Wynn Kelly Charles. Come on in. How are you doing, Wynn Kelly? Can we get your camera up there so we can see your face? Give you a second on that while you're coming in. What's the green room? Okay, so the green room is a Hangout on Air term for when we get into the Hangout and we're ready to broadcast, but we haven't gone live yet. So you can get, believe it or not, up to 10 people into a Hangout on Air green room and have quite a discussion before you've even started the broadcast live. Once you start the broadcast live and then you finish the broadcast like I did, then you can also be in the green room after the broadcast has stopped recording. So that's what we call the green room. That's for eBoy there. So Wynn Kelly Charles, I'm not sure why your image is not coming up, but if you go up to the top of the address bar for the Blab, you might see a camera there that you can click on the right, and it might give you an opportunity to get your audio and your video set up correctly. If not,
it's
Bonnie,
probably set up. Just Virginia, X her out. I messaged her, so because Kelly's been in before and she knows how to do it.
Okay.
So I told her just to refresh her Chrome, and then she'll try again.
Great.
So maybe someone else could pop in the meantime.
Okay. Anyone else want to come in for some questions or comments? I know we're running a little bit over time, but thank you so much for being here. This has been great fun, and we will hang out as long as people have time to. So Nina, I was right. It was you. Come on in. Can we see your camera?
Can you
There
see
she
me?
is.
I'm in my red hot kitchen.
Woohoo!
I have to change my ID from S Pandit to Sunita Pandit so that you know who I am. And I'm actually Mrs. Cardiology in my red heart kitchen. And so I teach cooking. I teach all about the rest of the story that the doctors don't have time to. And I think, Virginia, I have to congratulate you on what you're doing today. This is awesome. I just want to go over there and give you a big hug and a pat on the back. And ladies, welcome to our funky group. And I really appreciate everything you're teaching us today, and hope to talk to you some more very soon.
Oh, thanks, Anita. I appreciate it. This was definitely step out of your comfort zone day, for sure. But, you know, that's how we learn. And now when I go back and listen to these broadcasts, remember, I forgot to start the recording on Blab, but it's just a lot of buttons to push. It's a lot of things to follow. And again, I'm so grateful for Bonnie and Elaine being here. And again, I'll call out to
Virginia, I would love to practice with you when I start doing my Blabs.
What'd you say?
I said I would love to practice with you when I start doing my Blabs.
I think there's lots of opportunity to practice. And Bonnie, how did you get to the point that you felt so comfortable with Blab and Periscope? What is the key?
Practice. I've done over 200 Periscope broadcasts, and I don't know how many Blabs I've done, but I'll tell you that, you know, before, so 55 days ago, I started on Blab. I know that because I looked it up before. And the first time I went on Blab, I was just in the comments. I was just in somebody's room, and I was terrified to say something because I thought I had to have some profound question or comment, like something earth-shattering no one's ever come up with before. And so I just lurked and I watched and I listened. And then I realized that people were just talking. People didn't have, you know, this Newton-esque, you know, type of comment that they were delivering. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, I can talk. I can do that, right? So I would, so then I asked to join, right? I did like what Kelly's doing. I clicked join, and I, you know, came on for my first time. And so it's a little bit scary, but now I'm doing Blabs for people who have never been on Blab before. And so they come on with me for their first time, and I give them a tutorial. Kelly was on, actually, and we were talking about all the bells and whistles of Blab and all the, you know, all the different things. So sometimes that helps, just to kind of lurk and watch and listen for a little bit, and then just click join. Just do it. Just go on there. Like Virginia said, you know, like you said, Virginia, if you don't try, you're never going to know, right? So sometimes just step out and give it a go. Hi again, Kelly.
Hello,
Hi.
Kelly. Welcome.
It's Win, actually.
It's Win. Okay.
It's
Hi, Win.
Win. And I
Oh,
was
sorry. Hi, Win.
wondering, hi. And I was wondering, from your perspective, Virginia, and all of you actually, would doing a podcast on Blab be a good thing or a bad thing?
There you are. Well, my opinion is if you're delivering valuable content, why wouldn't it be a good thing? So I think it's just a matter of what medium you choose, and there's so many good ones out there. So pick one that you're comfortable with and work with it.
Well, I'm using Blog Talk right now, and it's not having the capabilities that I need anymore. So I was wondering if Blab would be a good podcast mechanism, because I'm noticing every time.
Well, one of the nice things, Wynn, is that you do get the audio as soon as the broadcast is done. So
Have
if you want to go ahead and podcast,
number like a official podcast.
Oh, you're going audio only. Okay. Well, I think that you can exit if you'd like and give another person a chance to come in, and we'll let's talk about this for a moment. Bonnie, are you putting your blabs up on a podcast?
No, I always wanted to have a podcast, and I personally subscribe to over 25 podcasts. I also have a great starter list of podcasts on my website. But I'm actually doing Blab. I'm doing my Blab with Bonnie show instead of doing a podcast because there's no editing. And the editing alone is what has kept me from doing a podcast. Because if you've never done one before, there is a lot of editing. There's a lot of back end stuff that people don't even realize about podcasts. And I, of all of the ones that I subscribe to, there's only one person who doesn't edit. So, I mean, the vast majority of people out there edit. They do an intro, they do an outro, they go back and take out the ums and the ahs and the pops and everything. And I don't want to spend my day doing that. So Blab for me is a lot more efficient and a lot more effective at delivering the content that I want, delivering the message that I want. But there are, like Wynn had asked about utilizing Blab. So when you host a Blab, you're sent 3 things. So Virginia's going to be sent 3 things within minutes after we close here. She's going to be sent an MP3 file, which is audio only, an MP4 file, which is audio and video, and an embed code to embed it on her website or embed it anywhere she wants. And Meerkat, you can embed the stream, the live stream directly onto a website, which is really cool. Meerkat, you can also subscribe ahead of time, 24 hours ahead of time. Blab, you can subscribe, I think, a month ahead of time. Periscope, there's no subscription, right? It's supposed to be in the here right. And now and raw video. But having said all that, there are people, loads of podcasters out there who you'll see them doing their podcast. They'll be interviewing. I mean, I've been interviewed for podcasts before on Blab. So they'll be taping it on Blab and recording for their podcast as well. So it takes a little bit of maneuvering because you're talking to your guest and you're interviewing your guest, and you're not necessarily paying attention to the chat. And that's the hardest part. I've talked to people who have stopped podcasting their blabs or blabbing their podcasts for that reason, because they can't keep track and converse and engage with the people in the chat. But then I've also talked to people who have found a way to do it. So, people have done that before, but just to use Blab for a podcast, you could certainly do that, because you're sent the MP3 file. So you can absolutely do that. That's what I was
going to point out. And, my podcast for the Inspirational Businesswoman Show actually goes up as a video podcast. And because I'm already creating the intro and the outro when I do the show live, I just upload it. I just upload it into my iTunes podcast, and it's there, and people can listen to it in video mode or in audio mode. But you could just as well take the audio from the Blab, and if you're incorporating what I do, which is using Xsplit Studio, so you get the different scenes and you get the intro, it's already done. Right. And I'm not one that is going to go in there and worry about editing out my uhs and oohs, because that's just part of being human. So I'm not too concerned about that. So it just goes up, and it's just a way of taking advantage of, I call this leverage, you guys. This is leveraging the time you spend. And that was the whole point in trying this experiment with you all today. And I'm going to do it again next week. So I hope you'll join us on the Inspirational Businesswoman Show next week, because we're going to simulcast again on Blab. But the point being is, it's leverage your time. There's no reason not to connect with more people. And as Bonnie said, the challenge is, how do I interact with people to the extent I want to? Because engagement is really, really important as well.
So, hey, Virginia and Bonnie, I'm wondering if either of you have heard this announcement, which came up from the Blab developers within the last week, that they have actually bought or are now aligned with a podcasting company or app. And, I think they are seeing the huge potential of the linkage and the possibilities for the reach that podcasting has. So once again, if we have the video component for those that want to enjoy the video component, see the gestures, see the interactions, see the eyes, see the smiles, have that as a part of the know, like, and trust building capability. But then for those who want the convenience to be listening to the podcasts, while they're driving in their cars, there are cars now that are even coming out with a feature when you buy your new car. And it's like you can automatically link into iTunes. It's just there like a broadcast channel. So they are right on the money. And we'll be seeing, I guess, in the days ahead, whatever kind of features are going to be built into this platform, making the whole podcasting thing even easier. Bonnie, also to respond to what you were saying, that you've heard some people who are doing podcasting are looking at this a little bit differently on Blab because they can't interact. Yeah, they probably need another visible or invisible moderator who's just helping out. And most of us, as we're growing our businesses, sometimes you have friends, helpers, and volunteers. Sometimes you have, someone who's younger. Maybe they're in a communications or media program in the university, and they want some other real experience. We can recruit those kind of people to come in and be our sidekicks and get some real experience. So if they want to go on out and become, they want to earn income as social media managers, they can say, I've done this, I've moderated on this show, I've been the sidekick on blah, blah, blah. So lots of possibilities happening in this playground.
It's really helping to produce a show. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so you can literally say you've been a producer or a co-producer or an assistant producer of the Blab with Bonnie show or whatever. I mean, I don't have one, but, that type of thing. So, hi.
Hey, Evan.
Hello.
Hey, Terry. How you doing? Great to see you.
I'm good.
Here.
I just got one question. I watched the first half on Hangouts, and for some reason, Bonnie, I never did see her face, except the only time was when you screen shared.
Yeah, she was not simulcasting. And we haven't, you have to realize we really haven't tested this. We haven't tested with 3 people.
No, I know. I was just wondering, so it's not automatic. That's what that was going to be my next question.
Exactly. Not until I screen shared. And that's why I did screen share at the end, so you could see what she was talking about. And I turned up my mic so that hopefully you were able to hear her okay.
Okay, but now the last time Elaine was on, she was on the
Elaine
Hangout
was
on there,
both.
but the first time
But
wasn't.
Elaine was on both.
First time she wasn't?
No,
Yeah.
first time I couldn't see her at all. The last time she was on, I did.
Okay. And there may have been times where I thought I was unmuted, but I was muted. And so you might have not heard me talking on Blab, but you could hear me via Hangout.
I could hear you talking. I couldn't see your face though on the Hangout.
That's good.
I was just wondering. So I guess it's not. Yeah. I'm just trying to learn. So I'll X off. Thank you.
No, that's
great to see you. Thanks for jumping on both of them.
Say what?
I said, thanks for jumping on both shows. We appreciate it because I really want that feedback. And of course, the more I do it, the easier it'll get for me to make sure I'm pinning people correctly, muting when I need to, and we don't end up with big echoing issues. These are all what I say are some of the cons. But to me, the pros are of so much benefit to a wide group of people, whether or not you're a broadcaster or you're someone participating in it, that I just think we got to keep doing it. We've got to keep doing these experiments. How far we can take this. And that's why I really love the collaborative process that we're all bringing to this. And I want to thank everybody, both those of you who have been on screen with me, but also those of you who have been commenting like crazy. And I will say, Bonnie, this is the biggest challenge, and that is keeping up with all of the comments when you end up with a really large audience.
Yes.
So I've gone over to the questions because now at least Blab has added the questions so that if you really have a question you want addressed, instead of looking at everyone saying, hi, you can just go to the questions. And I want to see here a couple more. Equals 3 asked a couple of questions. Can you push it to YouTube Live? And can you let us know if we can simulcast to YouTube? Now.
So do you think you could have added YouTube on here?
I am already simulcasting on YouTube as the Hangout, or I was until I stopped broadcasting. And all of the embed codes that I use to simulcast on all of the other networks, onto LinkedIn, onto Facebook, are all embed codes from YouTube that were provided to me when I set up the Hangout on air. Okay. So let's have a quick discussion about this, Bonnie. What do you think the potential is of doing a simulcast of a blab on YouTube? Any ideas? And Elaine, you too.
Well, my thing is, everybody has their choice social media platforms, right? Everybody has their own place where they tend to go most often. So mine are Periscope and Blab, and then Twitter. Other people hang out all the time on YouTube. Many people are on Facebook all day long. So basically, wherever you can do it and however you can incorporate more social media platforms, all that's going to happen is that you're going to grow your audience. That's what's going to happen. It's a given. And for some people to kind of, to sort of, like you said, stepping out of your comfort zone, right? And that's something, Virginia, that I definitely give you credit for, because, you're not, you didn't grow up with all of this. None of us did. I didn't
I'm a grandma for
until not too long ago. Seriously, we didn't grow up with any of this. So literally, we're stepping out of our comfort zones. It seems like 24 hours a day, right? Yeah. So, so sometimes stepping away from your comfort zone is also trying a different social media channel, right? Not hanging out all day on Facebook or whatever. So, and I have seen getting my followers. So I have loads of followers on Periscope, and getting them over to Blab. I knew it was not going to be a 1, 2, 3 situation. It's not even close to that. It takes a long time to get people over to a new platform, and not everybody's going to come. And the people who do come don't come right away, right?
Well, I'll give you an example of a gal who follows me on my Inspirational Businesswoman show on Google, and said, not interested in the show you're doing this time because I am well aware of all these live streaming platforms and I don't have time. And I can totally appreciate that. It can really feel like you're going down a rabbit hole with this many options. But that was the whole point in doing what I tried to do today. And that was, when you get into the simulcast mode, it really doesn't take any more time. So it's worth exploring from the standpoint of the number of people that you can connect with. Now, to give my 2 cents on the YouTube issue, here's what I would do if you want to simulcast your YouTube, your blab on YouTube. And if anyone thinks of any other ideas, let me know. But I would just go into YouTube and start a live stream, which is the equivalent of a Hangout on air on Google+. Then I would go straight to screen share. So the only way that the live stream would be being seen was with a screen share of Blab, like I did at the end of the Inspirational Businesswoman show on the Hangout. And now you are live. Make sure you push start broadcast, of course, on the live stream. Make sure you push the record button on Blab, and you'll have it both places, and you will be simulcasting on YouTube. So that's that question for equals 3. Now let's see. The link is not working. I'm not sure which link we put out here for a link.
I know. That was a while ago.
The ebook, maybe?
It doesn't say. She doesn't say which link, and we've had lots of links go up in the discussion. So
I will add the ebook link that I found that worked. I'll add it again.
Okay. All right. Elaine, any other comments you want to make? And we've got a seat open for a few more minutes. If anyone else wants to come in, make a comment, share any experiences they've been having with these, and just, let's expand this conversation, see how far we can take it.
I know when I'm at home that then when I want to listen to programs or participate in programs, I am using my desktop.
Oh, and Elaine just froze on us. We're pushing the envelope here. She's using her desktop as much as she can. And we'll wait till she comes back in. Hey, welcome, Brian. How are you?
Very well. I think Elaine is just miming.
Is that
She's doing a really good job of it.
Yeah, I had a question specifically about Xsplit, and obviously I'm having trouble integrating it. Share any insights on how to troubleshoot Xsplit to get it to work properly with Blab?
Boy, I don't know. I'd have to take a look at it with you, because when when you've got enough memory, when you shut down that's really part of the key. It takes a lot of juice to run some of these programs. So
That's not a problem.
Okay. So yeah, you're a pro out there. So I am not sure. I would have to take a look at you. We'd have to do an experiment and see what might be going on, because I have absolutely no problems with it. But do you have the latest version of it, for one
Yes.
thing? You do?
Yeah, and I also have the paid version of it.
Okay. So that's what we're working with. What specifically are you having trouble with?
I have created an MP4 layer for my lower third that I wanted to obviously chroma key myself out and just chroma key the layer out and just show the lower third, and then obviously have be able to communicate there. So that's where I've been having sticking points with it. It just doesn't seem to be separating things properly for me and broadcasting it properly.
So you're doing several layers. And did you say an MP4? You're trying to run a video?
Well, basically, I created a lower third in After Effects, and then I converted that to an MP4, and then I basically wanted to run that as a layer because it's a little bit more sophisticated lower third.
Yeah, I've never done an MP4 lower third. Mine's obviously just a JPEG or a PNG, whatever.
Yeah, that's what I see a lot. You see, that's a little bit, it's unique, and it kind of sets you apart because I see a lot of people on here using ManyCam and CamTwist, and everybody's starting to look the same already. And not to say that it's noise, but it's starting to look, I hate to say this, it's starting to look pretty boring for most people. And then what happens is people perceive it as a gimmick, and your trust level starts to fall off because you're pretending to be somebody that you're not. Like it's a perception issue that people might be having. So it's really, I think it's, in order to be professional on this platform, definitely have to use the right tools and apply it the right way. And I've been struggling a little bit with trying to cross that over. I've been having a lot of good help from a fellow whose name is John Prudo here, and his call sign is Human2, and he's been very helpful on that front, but I still have not been able to debug this problem, and I was hoping that there might be an expert in the panel today that might be able to help me out troubleshoot
Well,
that.
I'm not that expert because I've never tried to do a lower third as an MP4, so I'm not sure, but we could certainly get on and play with it and see if we could figure it out.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll connect with you and try to DM you offline.
Right.
And
I'm
pulling
you up and giving you a good follow. So thank you, Brian. Appreciate it.
Yeah, much appreciated. Thanks.
Yeah,
I'll
great.
jump off.
Okay. Anybody else before we sign off? Bonnie, any last tips from you? Insights? Okay. That's all the questions I see at this point. Any other you'd like to share with us?
So. I mean, just guys, if you have not, if you haven't tried to hop in a Blab, hop in. Oh, look, Jennifer's hopping in. Because it's very easy. It's all you do is click join. That's all you have to do, and you're in there. You can be from another country, another universe, probably. Who knows?
Now that might be a first. I'd love to try this with someone who's out there circulating around in space. Come on in and blab with us, will you please?
As long as they have a Twitter handle, that's all they need.
Yeah, they ought to be able to do that from outer space. Okay, Jennifer, can you bring your camera on? Do you know, have you done this before?
It's not, it has nothing to do with camera. It's her Wi-Fi signal.
Okay.
So how she's pulsing right now, she's sort of like floating out there. So Jennifer, I think if you simply refresh your browser, So Blab is optimized for Chrome. It does work on other things like Firefox, but it is optimized for Chrome. So if you're not using Chrome, guys, use Chrome. First of all, because it's the best thing out there. Yeah. And Blab is optimized specifically for Chrome. So that is definitely the thing to use here.
Okay. Yeah. Chrome,
so Jennifer,
is another love of mine.
To pop back in.
I say to people, I've been Googleized. I mean, everything I use is all Google based, but now I'm on to Twitterizing too. So there's a lot of
all these new terms to keep up with.
Hi, Jennifer. How are you? Welcome to our Blab.
Well, thank you for allowing me to pop in.
We love it.
I had a question and I had put it in the questions, but it didn't show up for some reason. I put it in twice. The question was, I do a daily illustrated series called What My Coffee Says to Me. So how would I do a Blab for that?
What My Coffee Says to Me, is that right?
Yeah, I've been doing it since January 1st, 2012.
How fun. And I'm curious, do you ever spike your coffee?
Yes, on the odd occasion I have spiked the coffee, but usually
because I would think that it might talk a little differently when you spike it.
That's her late night show.
Yeah, that's the late night show.
I do that sometimes, yes, in the evening. I do also what my wine says to me and what my tea says to me, but the coffee is the one that's every day, no matter what.
So are you doing this in a Blab now?
Well, no, I'm not. That's what my question was. How would one go about doing that? Because they're physical creations that I draw pen on paper, then I colorize them, and then I post them throughout social media. Like I said, I've been doing that since January 1st, 2012. So I've amassed many illustrations.
I love that. That would be good for a Periscope as well, don't you think, Bonnie?
I've never used Periscope.
Either. I mean, it depends on, see, that's the thing is Periscope and Blab are, the only similarity is that they're live streaming platforms. So if you want a conversation situation like this, we're all conversing, right? And you want the chat engagement possibility, then Blab would be the way to go. So if you're going to have other people in with you, or you'd like to invite other people in with you, that's the way to go. If you simply want to be talking to your audience and engage with them back and forth through the chat, then Periscope or Meerkat, something like that would be the way to go. So it depends on what your goal is.
Okay. I'm going to freeze because I'm looking for a link.
Well, what is your overall goal?
What is my overall goal is, well, I have several. I'm just going to
buy coffee.
Yes, I just put the link on Pinterest where all of the illustrations are, so you can take a look at them. The first goal is the reason why I started the series was to get out of depression. And I read an article about coffee, and coffee is really good for women to help them alleviate some of the symptoms of depression. So I started creating the coffee series, and now I'm at the point where I have a lot of followers, and everyone is waiting for that cup of coffee every day, because it's a positive message that's with each illustration. So the tricky part is, if I do a Blab, how would I do that? Would I do just, or even Periscope for that example, because I would need my hands to, I guess I might need a different type of camera for an example so that they could actually see if I was drawing.
Yeah, so there's a couple of options. And then also I want to talk to you about coming on my show, because I just looked at your link, and you need to, first of all, you need to start publishing books. Have you done that?
Yeah, no, I have. Like I have, my stuff is on Redbubble for purchase. And I'm doing a GoFundMe right now to do 2 books.
And are these available in any coffee houses anywhere?
No, because that's the difficult thing to do, right? So Redbubble, if you know what Redbubble is, that you can upload digital works of art or photographs, and you can have them put onto almost everything. And they do the best quality as far as I'm concerned. My neighbor is my best client. She's always buying my stuff, so I'm actually able to see what they look like.
We need to expand your purchase power or your audience.
Yeah.
Your stuff is amazing.
Why, thank you.
I mean, that is, if you have not clicked on her link, please do. It is truly amazing.
Wow, look at that.
You should be published in many, many, many places. So it's unbelievably impressive.
So right now I'm trying to do a GoFundMe to raise money to continue doing the series, because up to this point, I'm just doing it on my spare time. And it's almost evolved into quite a complex process, because I'm in every social media platform that there is. So you can imagine posting to each of those each day, creating the illustration to start out with. Coffee is always good. And I love creating them, and I love making people feel good, because when they read it, the quote that I put in there, or if sometimes I'm just goofy, it makes them smile. And I think that's the most important thing that keeps me going and has helped me. And hearing people respond back, not hearing, but reading people's responses, because generally in social media, you just get the written feedback. And there's so many people that have, said things that this is what they wait for every day.
So I have a question for Jennifer. Jennifer, sure. Do you create these illustrations sometimes live? I mean, would you want to be doing that live? I'm thinking of Chef Dennis Litley, who has 2 different Twitter accounts. So he opens one window up with him, and then he simply has another camera focused on what he's cooking or what he's preparing, and that's on as the second person. Well, it's him. But that would be a way to showcase your illustrations without using something like Manicam or Xsplit. And especially if you were doing something with those graphics live during the program, or even in response to the people who were engaging with you during the program. Yeah, you absolutely have a way to do that here on Blab.
Yeah, that would mean I'd have to acquire a camera. Maybe if I get all the funding I need.
You know what?
Well, but no, you wouldn't, because
you can even use an iPhone for the second camera.
All you need for Blab is a second Twitter account. That's all you need. And obviously you've got something because you're on here, right? So you've got some computer or something because you're here.
Oh yeah, I'm a designer, so yes, I have a Mac.
Okay, right. Yeah. So you've got some other something, right? I'm assuming a phone, an iPad, something. And so you could use. Okay, there you go. So that's your second camera.
So I guess I would need to get a tripod or something for it, because it's just me. I'd have to have it.
You can have a tripod. Workable. You could use a selfie stick. You can also use a music stand. You can also use that's what it's called. You can use. I've used a music stand before. I've used a cookbook holder before. I've used duct tape before. I've used a flower pot before.
Clothespins.
You can use that you have around your house, right? But all you've got to do is prop it up, right? Yeah. And you've got to prop it up at the right angle to either see you or see your work, either one. And you wouldn't necessarily have to be doing something from scratch, because based on what I've seen, I think that would take too long. But you could be adding details to a drawing or finishing up a drawing, or you could be starting a drawing and then showing it's going to look similar to this, to this cell or this whatever that I finished earlier yesterday, something like that. Yeah. So that would be really helpful. So, and on Blab for the second Twitter account, so you would be in one and your stuff would be in the second. You know what I mean? Okay. So you would take up 2 windows or 2 squares. You physically would be in one square and your work would be in the second square.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant, Bonnie. And I just have to add this for a little sense of humor. At Peep Social says, an old cookie tin and double-sided tape. My least techie idea.
You know, and Jennifer, the other great thing, the informality of this medium leads us to experiment. We're going to see what works. You know, I'm very much of the mindset over doing Google Hangouts on air. Well, I have a weekly show and it kind of has a format and it's on Tuesdays. Over here on Blab, I feel like, you know what? Today I feel like talking about blankety blank. Like on Thursday, after the Pope addressed the joint session of Congress, I wanted to talk about that. Now, I didn't end up having a grand following come over to talk about it, but I wanted to talk about it. It was easy to set it up. I did. So whether it's a regular show and you're trying out a few times to see kind of what flies, what works technologically or other, or whether you're inspired one day to do something completely different, you can do it. And then the next week you might find, you know, you're led to do something else or at a different time. If we move into this place of trust that, you know, our core messages and our core values are getting out there, you know, they're wafting out through the universe, that at the given point in time when somebody needs to connect with us with either live or replay or repurpose content, they'll find us. And we just continue to abide, being in that place of success and bringing forth the gifts we're meant to. It's all fine. You know, it all flows.
Because really, I think the bigger picture of why I want to do this is I want to help others, as I have with the illustrations, is I want to help others not feel stigmatized by mental health issues. Like if you have depression, there's so many people that, you know, are not able to find work, or they lose their work as a result of, and I had a little bit of that happen to me as well. But I'm better now, and that's the whole idea that I want to get across, is that you can move forward. You just have to keep working at it every day.
So Jennifer, you really need it out there. Something that has been a challenge for you, you've now turned into a blessing for many, many other people. And I agree with Elaine and Bonnie wholeheartedly. You just need to get out there in as many ways as possible. You're going to change and transform a lot of people's lives. Your work is brilliant. Someone else suggested, I'm sorry it's gone on the comment stream, but you know, you need to think about getting published on Amazon as well. You're doing some brilliant work, and it's needed. It's so needed. So you know what? I agree with Elaine. Get out there and try several of these different ones. I think that the quickest and simplest might be, if you're Bonnie's talking about something a little more techy, but not that bad with 2 cameras. But I can just see you picking up your phone and doing a Periscope with this, where you're talking to them and you can switch your phone back and forth from projecting onto the image that you're creating and then back to yourself and talking to people and uplifting them and sharing your experiences. So start with Periscope, because it's really easy, isn't it, Bonnie?
I've not tried. All you gotta do is turn it on and go. Turn it on and start talking.
Yeah.
Really?
You know what? It's so funny, Jennifer, seeing when clicking on and looking at just a couple of your illustrations, the owls show up. Now think about it. Blab, that, you know, the icon and the logo for Blab is the owl.
Yeah.
Over on Google Plus, one of the things that I post about, I just see nice owl pictures and I just share them forward. What is it about owls? You know, they're kind of cute, or they're strong. They have these strong talons, or they have these heads that can like rotate around and see from all these, you know, all these different perspectives. So I think that's really interesting.
Owls are adorable. They're one of my favorite things to illustrate.
I wonder how they came up with Blab as an owl. I just think about them hooting all the time, but not necessarily blabbing.
Well, that's kind of like
blabbing. Watching this, where the Blab owl came from, I'd be curious.
And I often, when I've done a couple of my blabs, what I've said is, okay, I don't have a little tweet sign, but when I hold this on up, tweet it on out, and as if to ask, who's going to show up next? I got a call.
Okay. Well, we're winding things up here. Jennifer, did you get your questions answered as best as we can at this point?
Yes, I did. Is there, I guess if I follow each of you, which I'm just going to
do just follow us. And we,
yeah, so for those of you who are still in the room, make sure you go across the top and click everybody's profile. Make sure you're following everyone on Blab. You can also click the blue bird on the profile. Then you can follow them on Twitter without ever leaving the room. And Jennifer, I messaged you, or I tweeted you, and so message me back on Twitter, and we'll talk further, because I'd love to have you on the show.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
I'm so glad that you came on. I'm so glad you came on. So you connect yourself out. We'll give it 5 more minutes. Bonnie, you got 5 more minutes?
I got it.
All right. Anyone else want to come in and join us after Jennifer leaves? Thank you, Jennifer. You're doing great work. Keep it up. I expect to see you on Periscope Lab and a lot of other places. Okay, let's get Lowell Ann in here. There she is. Welcome, Lowell. How are you? We're waiting for that. So as Bonnie says, that means we're just waiting for here it comes, for the image to come. There she is. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, you're doing great. You sound great.
I have a little echo on my end.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, I just have a very short question, so I won't stop and plug in my earphones. So now I see the answer to my question. I wanted to know, when does the little icon show up in the bar up there? Whether it was before you, when you just join the Blab, or when you jump in. So I can see it up there now. So I've got an answer to my question.
And so for those who don't, it's when you join the Blab, correct, Bonnie?
Yes.
Right.
When you join the Blab, and while you're on the Blab.
Right. And the order will switch around depending upon what's happening. And so Virginia, see how there's 2 numbers at the top? There's 104 and there's 14.
Yes, you've got 14.
So 104 is 104 people have gone through the room. If you click on that number, Virginia, you can follow every single person who went through the room.
Right. Yeah.
And then if you click on the 14, then you can, follow the 14, et cetera. Yeah. So that's, so it's another way, to follow up on the people who have been in here.
Yeah. Terrific.
So I tell you, growing followers.
Yeah,
it's here.
I have
and
one
on Twitter. I have been amazed. Quick.
So can you think of a way that you could integrate a Blab into a crowdcast, which is hosted on your website?
Elaine, I'll let you answer that question.
I think the way you could do
I'm not
it.
sure everyone knows what Crowdcast is, so you might start with that.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that? It's a good idea. Oh, wait. Now we can't hear you.
Oh, you're muted.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we can hear you.
Thank you. Crowdcast is known as a Hangout or YouTube live stream wrapper. Actually, it's also a wrapper also for broadcasts that are made on Ustream and LiveStream. Okay, so, but I'm just going to stick with Hangouts on Air because I'm a Hangouts on Air gal, which can be started either from the YouTube side or on the Google Plus side. Okay, so Crowdcast is a wrapper that can contain the video portion of a Hangout on Air or a YouTube live stream program, and it has its own comment stream, and it has features where there can be polls and also questions. But the interesting thing about it is it provides a very easily accessible engagement arena for, let's say, Hangout on Air and YouTube live stream programs that don't require you going on into Google Plus to access. You can, as a host, set up a Crowdcast program and then bring your, the URL for your Hangout on Air or your YouTube in there. But then you as a host can either invite people to participate with registering with an email or not with an email. Okay, so unlike Hangouts on Air or unlike over at YouTube, you don't have the ability to capture email addresses. With Crowdcast, you have an option to do that. And then, of course, as a host, you have to use your discretion on how you're going to actually use those email addresses. But the email addresses are either those that are supplied by sign-in through Google Plus, so it's then the email address linked to your Google Plus sign-in, or it is the YouTube, the email address linked to Facebook, because you can sign in through Facebook or Twitter. And now you can just sign in with a plain email address. Okay. The wonderful thing about Crowdcast, though, is very often people will do programs, and then when it comes to replay, it's like, how do I find it? Or like people that do webinars, it's like, oh, I got to go back through my emails. What account did I have that email in? How am I really want to watch that, that webcast again or that program again before it like goes away. So with Crowdcast, all you do is you go, once you set up your Crowdcast account, you just go to your own Crowdcast account. Mine is crowdcast.io/Elaine Nieberding. And any show then that I have either hosted or any show that I have like subscribed to is automatically in that same place. So it's very easy to find. The other neat thing about Crowdcast is you, of course, if you're doing a Hangouts on Air, then you can use the very powerful screen share function that is within there. So Lolan, I'm thinking if I did a blab and I brought the blab into the Hangout as a screen share, then I could have that showing up within Crowdcast. And once again, all of the people that want to watch it live and engage live, they can. And there are also analytics built into Crowdcast. So I, as a host, can go back and I can see all over the world where my viewers are from. I can see a breakdown by male and female. I guess that data is available. That's somehow in there. You can, within the Crowdcast little platform, which on a mobile device is pretty easy to use. That's why I love it. For Hangouts, since I discovered Crowdcast, I have always put my programs, my Hangout on Air programs, on Crowdcast because I can actually get people to engage from a mobile device in a way that never, ever happened with them just watching the live stream on YouTube. Just didn't work. So
that might be a whole nother way that I will be implementing this simulcasting madness.
Well, you're just going to have to recruit lots of interns to help, because you can have a different moderator than for each medium. So the people who are coming into that platform can felt like, just like you said, Bonnie, they're greeted, they're acknowledged. Oh, they're there. And it's noticed that they're there.
Right.
Yeah, that's important.
Well, and it's similar to, so what Blab and now Periscope, in my opinion, because of Blab, because of all the incredible features that Blab has done recently, and Periscope hadn't had an update for a little bit of time. So now Periscope and Blab both have their personal URL. So Blab's always had it. So Virginia, you have, essentially your own Blab channel, and I have my own Blab channel. So like I put my Blab URL in there. Everybody has their own Blab channel. And it sounds like that's very similar to what Crowdcast is, because if you go to Elaine's Crowdcast, that's going to be all her stuff, right? And so you can watch all of her episodes, right? Basically, of all of her stuff. And hi, Jennifer, just joined. And Blab is one of the things that they're absolutely going to work on is the analytics, because they know it's hugely important, but they wanted to make sure. I mean, Blab is still in beta, which is very hard.
Just a few months
to
old.
remember.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, it's 5 to 6 months old, but the lay people, most people have not been here longer than 55 days, but they definitely want to work on the analytics because they know how important that is. And they essentially are letting every single person who wants to be a broadcaster be a broadcaster. Anybody who wants to have their own channel can have their own channel. They can have their own show. They can all do that. And the reason that they started Blab is because they were tired of watching all the talking heads on TV. And so they're like, you know what? We're going to start our own situation where anybody can be a broadcaster. You don't have to be these people who don't even create what they're reading. They are simply reading it. And half the time they're not even in the place where they're supposed to be broadcasting from, let's face it. So, so that's what is so exciting. So that's interesting because I had heard about Crowdcast before, but I'd never seen it. So I'm glad you explained it.
The other interesting thing is you can monetize Crowdcast events.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Single events. You can also make them, they can be public, but they can also have narrower audiences because once again, with Hangouts on Air, you have the ability, if you want, something with some, I will say, controlled audience, either by private or making it unlisted, you have a way to do that through Crowdcast as well. They also have, as part of one of their, a premium upgrade, which is just kind of coming into use now. If you want to create an event that has multiple segments to it, let's say you even want to run a course over the course of 3 months, you could do it within Crowdcast, have it monetizable. The people can go back there and you could have, so they go to one place and then they could reach each video segment. They could be live, but you can even have segments that you put in there, which are just recordings. So you can, within that platform, you can have live engagement, you can have recordings, you can have a comment stream that does not go away, that you can have people coming back and forth to pre-event, during event, and after event. So, all of these have their different little twists and turns. I want to acknowledge Kristen Drysdale,
yes,
friend over from Google Plus, and she said, if a platform has close contact with the developers, it makes all the difference in the world. Over on Google Plus, we have had pretty close connection with Sai Hussain, the developer of Crowdcast, and he doesn't have as big a team, as the folks here, but it is a great product. It is a great product. So I'm going to have to do some more blabs about Crowdcast. And as I did on one of my Hangouts a couple weeks ago, I said, it's an and thing. It's not Hangouts or Blab. It's, it depends what you want to do in your business, and also the technological skills and the multitasking skills that you have. And some people will be happy to just stay in one place. And that's fine.
And that's probably where one should start, because if you try to do everything at once, like I crazily did today, you might say, I can't do this. Instead, start someplace, whether it's as simple as Periscope and just picking it up and going live and sharing what's going on with you, moving into a Blab, which is it's a great new medium. I think that everyone should give this a try. And as Bonnie so wisely suggested, start by lurking. It's kind of a strange term. Yes, Kristen, come in here for a few minutes. We want to see your beautiful face. Start with that and lurk and play around, and then just click on to come on inside. And as Bonnie said, just to introduce yourself and say why you're excited about exploring this medium, because it is great. And then don't leave Hangouts out of the picture. There's so many beautiful things you can do in Hangouts. Kristen.
Who's here? So
Welcome
we
in.
now have Kristen here. So folks, tell a little bird, because the new little tweet that goes out will populate with Kristen's name.
That's right. There we go.
And who else will show up?
The great Kristen Drysdale. How are you doing? I haven't talked to you for a while. But you have been sending us lots of props. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, I love what you do. Like, I follow both you and Elaine. Like, I'm not always vocal, but I lurk. Yeah. But yeah, so I just love what you do, and you do so much for so many people. I think that's kind of like a really big theme of the show from what I've seen of it. Everyone's here to help.
Great. And I loved having Kristen on my show. Gosh, I know it might have been about 6 months ago, but you were just terrific. And this is a lady, I want to tell you that she wears her heart. You know exactly where she's at. She is so genuine. You are, to me, just the ultimate person that stands out there and just is who you are. No apologies. We love you. We really love you.
My hair right now, I'll explain.
Where's your hat?
One of my daughters did my hair, and I promised her that I would keep it like this until she came home from school. So, what do you do?
Well, there are always hats, Kristen.
Are you saying I should go put on a hat?
No. Mother-daughter love, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to come in and just say, hey, and thank you for what you're doing, and just keep doing it.
Aw, thanks. What do you like best about Blab, Kristen? How much time have you spent here?
Okay. Well, at first I wasn't going to come in. Like I saw Scott Scowcroft. He had shared it, but he did it in a way like there weren't other people in the room, and I just followed his link, and I didn't know what it was. I had no idea. I thought it was like a video sharing platform kind of thing. And then it was like 3 weeks later, like I saw more and more things from different people. I didn't go follow it. I still had no idea what it was. I gave myself an account because Scott's here, so I'm going to come over here. But it wasn't until so I made this meme because I told my daughter, my oldest, that I was thinking about coming in and learning about Blab, and she's like, "Mom, you can't do that. Then you'll be a blabber." And I was like, well, okay, so maybe it doesn't have the best ring to it. Okay. And then Mark Trafagan came in the next day, and he put out a link for it. I was like, I had to follow Mark. So then I learned what it was, and I've been, like how everyone else is, you just get addicted because that personal contact. I love how accessible it is to just anyone. Like there's no learning curve time.
Right.
You don't have to have someone take you through all the steps of what to do exactly before you get on, and you're gonna get on your first Hangout and it's a scary thing. I did that. Like I'm a Hangouts person too. But so from that aspect it's really cool, and it's also really cool because it opens you up to your whole Twitter audience. Like my Twitter was fledgling until I came in here, and now it's like, oh my gosh, I'm actually kind of square in my followers. There's so many amazing people, and just opens your whole world to, wow, I didn't even realize that the world was so big. And it just really just opens up your whole, all the chakras are just open. I'm just willing to let in all the energy, all the light.
Hey, Kristen, isn't going to be interesting to see if any of these other live streaming platforms nudge the Hangout developers to do anything else a little different. In the last week or two, we've been seeing a couple different small tweaks like easier ways to bring people into Hangouts that you see within the Hangout hosts, room?
Well, okay, so they screwed themselves big time when they took away now I'm trying to think of the word. Okay, so you usually, or you used to be able to flip around the post and then you could see everyone that shared your thing. What's that called? It's on the tip of my tongue.
Oh, they took that away?
Yeah, that broke Hangouts. Like for anyone that's doing the comment tracker, you can't, there's so many more like things that you can't do anymore.
Well, they took away enhancements. They took away enhancements, which is hard for we more mature ladies.
So they did officially do that. Okay. I was on with Gina Friedel and Stephanie Sims, and we noticed that we couldn't find it, and we were like looking everywhere. I'm like, I bet it was on here just like yesterday, but they did. So they took it away.
They took enhancements away a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
All right.
And we've all pleaded with them, at least we baby boomer generation and up, have pleaded that they bring back smooth. We don't care about the rest. Just bring back smooth. And if the Blab community would add smooth, we would be ever so grateful.
It's probably on the list. If not, you can tell them and it'll be on the list.
Think about when you come to Blab and you can see all the different live programs and kind of what they're about, how easy it is to then to say, oh, that looks good, I'll watch that. Oh, that looks good, I'll watch that. Over in Google Plus, in Hangouts, you go to the Hangout page to set up a scheduled Hangout on air. There's just a little box with a picture saying live. No description, no nothing.
Yeah, well, that's another angle.
So it did not draw people in at all in the same way. And too bad. They,
And it really does become more of a thing where it's focused on who do you know that is doing something. And if you don't know anyone that's doing something, then you're not likely to spend the time to go to the event. And you're certainly not going to make a whole post that's going to sit on your wall. And like the advantage that Blab has is that people don't mind when they see like the little tweet, come through their stream. That's Twitter. That's what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to have like random firings of information bits and like, hey, come look at me. And like, that's what it is. And so you're already there with that acceptance, the automatic acceptance. And you're not trying to fight I'm going to like be in danger of going against the rules and everyone's going to see me as a spammer, where you really do run into that with Google Plus.
So Kristen, do you think you'll ever get Ammon Johns over here on a Blab?
I really have tried to push it to Bill and Ammon's Bogus Hangout. It's for anyone here that doesn't know, Ammon Johns and Bill Slosky are SEOs.
Big SEO guys.
And I'm their third wheel. And then we brought in Terry Van Horn, he's been around for forever in SEO as well. I don't call myself a junior SEO because I'm not there yet, but I'm a baby SEO. But I've talked to them and they just really love having the larger panels. And so Bill and Ammon's Bogus Hangout will probably not move to Blab. I'm sorry, everyone.
Well, and there are advantages and disadvantages to having that larger panel, as we call the film strip, participants all at once. We're limited on Blab to 4. I think 4 is really manageable. You get into the 10, and I've been doing Hangouts now for years. I have never been able to manage that many people. When I do it is one time only. I'll tell you, this is the best way, in my opinion, to do with that many people. And that is if you're doing some type of a mini mastermind or a small elite training group, where you're going to maybe start with the presentation or the material, the content that they're working on, and then you open it up to Q&A. But to try and manage that in a live broadcast, the people, at least in there, have to know how to mute themselves, have to know when to come in and out. You can't all talk over each other. It can be kind of chaotic beyond being a good experience for the viewer, and you have to think of it from the viewer's standpoint.
Yes.
Whereas here, with 4 people, there's not a big problem with talking over. We all try to be polite and take our turns, and 4 is really manageable. And I do love, this is a big thing I love about Blab, is we're all on screen. I mean, we're all being real. We're all here the whole time. You can see us and how we're responding. And I just think Blab's really going to be taking off. It already has taken off. I can't even imagine where it's going to be a year from now. And I think that those people who are missing out on this platform better jump on the bandwagon, because it's not going anyplace. It's just going to get better and better, I'm sure.
Well, and why the heck not? Like, what reason do you have to not come over and just try it out?
Now, what we can
over to Amos.
What we can say still, in favor of, Hangouts and the YouTube programs, you can have unlimited numbers of viewers. When the developer of Crowdcast, Sai Hussein, set his whole thing up, and before it was even largely publicly tested, he created an event which was like over 4 days. It had 10 or 15 different sections. And who were the people attending this? Largely developers. They had key people in the development field. They had 34,000 people register for that event. And it did not crash. They found, it could work. They could have, hundreds of people attending on an individual session and commenting. But for all the people who registered for that, they could go back through those individual sessions. 34,000? Something.
That is something, Elaine. That is, I think that we need to do more experimenting with that. And you and I might be the ones, anyone here who wants to join in, adding Crowdcast to the simulcasting experience. I think it would be fun to try. I really do.
Is there a cap? Is there a cap like on Blab for how many viewers there can be?
Bonnie, there's not a cap on Blab. Is this many?
Not that I know of, no. And the longest Blab, they've done Blabathons to raise money for different things. There's a boy who has been on Blab for a long time, and Virginia, get rid of Aurelius. Look in the chat.
I see.
And they raised money for him to get a new computer because he had a really old computer, and he just received, literally just yesterday, he received his new computer. So then they were on Blab and he was showing his new computer.
Jamie Meissner.
So exactly. Yeah. And so that was pretty cool. And they've done Blabathons for other, for other charities and things. Robert Stern was on for a 32-hour Blab. He tried to make it to 36. He literally passed out after 32. He couldn't stay up any longer. So I don't know that there's a cap in terms of number of people or number of hours. I mean, they've done, and the Blab team is amazing. They're like, try it, see if it breaks. They're like, let's see,
Right.
And what's pretty unbelievable is the Blab team's been in and out of a ton of my Blabs, and Brittany Metz is the one who created the owl, actually. And so, for example, like when I started my Blab with Bonnie show, and I would have people come on, and I'd say, okay, give me 2 sentences about your business, and I'll tell you what to blab about. Then she popped in. She's like, oh my God, this is great. No one's done one of these before. And then, so they're in and out. And they support my show, and they blab about me. They put it out on Twitter without me even asking. They just do that, and they'll do that for everybody. And if you tweet to the Blab team and you tweet them, a suggestion, their suggestion will be read by everybody on the team. Their suggestion will be thought about and will be discussed. So, Like, when does that happen? I mean, I always use this example. So we have about 4 times as many Apple products in my house as we do people in my house. And nobody from that corporation has ever come and found out how my stuff was working or how I was using it or what I was innovating on it, right? Nobody's ever done that. But the Blab team, multiple people on the Blab team have done that. And I'm just one person. They do that for a lot of people. And when I say that they will entertain your suggestion, I'm not just saying that. It's really true. And it's a dozen people. And what makes it pretty incredible is, so they owned Bebo, B-E-B-O, then they sold it, then they bought it back. And what they sold it for and what they bought it back for allows them to do what they're doing now in Blab, which is unbelievable. So they don't need to raise funds. They don't need, they're not on a time schedule. Everything they do is very, very strategic. I've never been involved with such intellect and such insight in my life. These people are amazingly bright and amazingly creative and just unbelievable at what they do.
The only thing that, I wish that, a couple things. I wish there was, a timestamp sort of thing. And I saw that you said that I should mention that. Where would be the best place to mention that to them?
So tweet, I don't want to do it now because it's like a bat phone if I do it. So, and I don't want to alert them. I'm not saying anything's wrong. But so if you tweet at Blab Team, just that's for Quan. So tweet at Blab Team and say, I have a suggestion. Have you thought about time stamping people's comments, but then also ask if there's a different link that you should send that information to.
Okay.
Because they may have sort of a suggestion box now that they didn't have before.
Okay, cool. The other thing is the blocking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just figured out how to do that. So thank you for that.
I know you can do that.
You're supposed to block, except apparently you've had some experience with some people.
Well, you can do that from a particular Blab show, but you can't block a user in general. Am I correct?
Yes and no. So Virginia's the only one, whoever's the host, that is the only person who can accept people into the seats and who can block them. Okay, right now, the host is the only person who can do that. Blab is working on getting a co-host situation. So where it really is a co-host, where the co-host can continue on with the Blab if the host leaves. The co-host can bring people in, can accept them in, and can also block people. So that's really important to have somebody, with those capabilities.
Right, because right now, if there's someone, if the host leaves, then it's only you have up to 15 minutes. Is that?
No, you have more than 15 minutes. You can just keep talking, but you can't let people in.
Okay.
So that's sort of, it just kind of fizzles out almost every time.
Well, I just understood that when unless the host leaves inadvertently because you get, you just lose your connection, that it was my understanding that it's best when you conclude your show that you X out all your guests before you X yourself out, and that stops the recording. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, when you X yourself out, it's right. Exactly. I mean, you're going to have to eventually X them out, or they'll X themselves out because the show's over. There's nothing to watch.
Well, that's what I mean. But does the recording go on if you don't X out all your guests when you drop off?
It would, yeah.
Okay. So that's the reason, if you want to maintain control of the content, that before you leave, you would X out your guests, and then that would stop the show. Okay. Good.
And a really good time to experiment with all this is 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, but not all the world's asleep at 2 a.m.
No, Kristen, whenever you do it, you're going to get people on. There's
I know.
all the time.
Oh my gosh. I actually have something now for when I have insomnia and stuff. It's the coolest thing.
So Bonnie, what's this comment here? It says user Blab Team has been suspended on Twitter. You know what he's talking about?
They may have. So Quan may have taken that down because maybe too many people were using that. So just use @Blab. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks guys. Well, I think we're going to wrap this up. We could go on and on and on, but this has been great, great fun, a great learning experience for me. And I feel like, again, stepped out of my limited box and tried something new, and it was successful. So from that standpoint, it's been great fun to have all this time with everyone. Bonnie, your expertise, we really, really appreciate. Elaine, your input and bringing up the value of Crowdcast is terrific. And the fact that you and I could do something that I think was pretty significant, and that was to simulcast and Hangout on Air and a blab at the same time. I'm just kind of tickled about that. So just to let you all know that I will be on again next week, continuing this experiment with the next Inspirational Businesswoman show, and in the interview format. We'll start out on the Hangout on Air, but we will bring it onto Blab. And I'm now figuring out how I'm going to just screen share the Blab also on the Hangout on Air, so that everyone from all the different platforms can be part of this. That's what I love. And we can all collaborate and share and learn and grow from what I truly believe are some remarkable live stream platforms out there that we all just need to embrace. And oh, by the way, they're all free. I mean, we have to just, say thank you. It's such a great time in our lives to give us all a chance to get out here and blab and share and collaborate and uplift and inspire one another. And that's where I'm coming from. So again, thank you so much, Bonnie, for being here. This was all spur of the moment, you guys. Bonnie agreed last night. Elaine agreed last night. Kristen, loved having you come in. I could not have pulled this off without you guys. And I want to again say thank you. I'm very grateful.
That was fun. Thanks.
And I'm so glad to have gotten to know Bonnie. Bonnie, you are a storehouse of knowledge.
And she's something.
Blab power woman. And so glad to
And, she's the one that got me going on Periscope, because she came on my Inspirational Businesswoman show.
Your fault.
She started this whole mess. And she did a great job on my show, and the interviews out there, you guys. If you want to go find me on YouTube, you can go to my channel, which is just Virginia Parsons, or you can also go to the to hangoutmarketingu.com, and there you can find all of the different archives of my shows. So Bonnie's one of them, Elaine is one of them, and Kristen is one of them. 3 great inspirational women here with us today.
So last quick question for you, Virginia. On your Hangout on Air show, which aired, started a couple of hours ago, simulcasting with that, you did offer a free ebook. And if you tell it to me, I will type it in here so people can access that.
How's that? Can you read it?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, she can just type it on.
hmtips.com/ebook. That's all there is to it. And as I say, I published this ebook last year, but everything that I did in it is all relevant to all of these different live streaming mediums. So go take it from that. And as I get some time, I will update it so it has all that in there. But it's well worth the read, and I hope you do take advantage of it. Thanks so much, Elaine. All right, we are going to sign off. Thank you, everyone, so much for being here. Thank you for all my new Twitter friends. Thank you for all my new Blab friends. Continue to check us out, because we'll be doing this on a weekly basis. And again, Bonnie and Elaine and Kristen, thanks for being here. Signing off now. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Elaine.
Okay, and you're going to take it off the record.
Off the record. You got her. Bye-bye.